I wasn't supposed to hear it. Not because I wasn't invited. I was. Technically. It was our house, after all. My wife, Dana, had her friends over for what she called a low-key girls' night. Wine, laughter, old Spotify playlists from college. I offered to cook, serve drinks, play the doting husband. And then I quietly excused myself to the kitchen once dinner was over, pretending to scroll through my phone while I cleaned dishes with the water running just loud enough. But I heard it. The sentence. The one that flipped my stomach like a bad fall. Look, I love him, but let's be honest, he was the backup plan. Laughter. Not just from her. From all three of them. Her friends. Her tribe. One of them, Sierra, I think, choked on her wine. Dana. That's so mean. Dana giggled, and I could hear the way her voice curved upward, playful, like this was just a joke. Just a thing you say when the guy is out of the room. No, I'm serious, Dana said, her voice casual. You all know I was waiting on Andrew to come back from Europe. That man had me in a chokehold. I dropped the sponge. It hit the sink with a soft splash, but in that moment, it may as well have been a gunshot. My heart stuttered. I leaned against the counter, fingers gripping the edge of the cold granite. Andrew, a name I hadn't heard in 3 years. I remembered him, her ex from college. Tall, traveled, the kind of guy who quoted Rumi and ghosted girls before brunch. She'd told me he'd broken her heart. I didn't know she was still hoping he'd come back. I mean, Dana went on. When I realized Andrew wasn't serious, I thought, okay, Jake's nice. Jake's safe. She said my name like I was a discount brand. Like I was the option you settle for when the one you want is out of stock. More laughter. I turned the tap off. That's when the silence in the kitchen got loud. My breathing. The hum of the refrigerator. The clink of a fork against a wine glass as someone topped off another pour. Every muscle in my chest tightened, like I'd just sprinted 10 miles with no warning. Safe. That's what she called me. I used to think that was a compliment. Dana and I met at a coffee shop 3 years ago. I remembered the way she smiled at me, warm but guarded, like someone who had been hurt before and didn't want to show it. We talked for hours that day. She told me she wanted someone steady, someone who wasn't going to leave halfway through the story. I thought I was that guy. I became that guy. I built a life around making her feel secure. Weekend getaways. Surprise flowers. Grocery runs when she had cramps. Quiet nights in when her anxiety flared. I was her anchor when the storms came. But anchors aren't exciting. Anchors don't make your friends gasp when you talk about your love life. Anchors are what you drop when the boat stops moving. You married him because you knew he wouldn't leave, her friend said. Right. Dana didn't answer right away. And that silence, right there, that pause, hurt worse than anything else. Because I knew what it meant. You pause when you're about to lie. Or when you don't want to admit the truth. I walked out the back door. Quietly. Without shoes. Without my phone. Just me and the October air pressing cold against my skin. I sat on the steps of the porch, facing the empty yard, and let my breath fog up in front of me. I didn't cry. Not yet. But I felt that ache behind my eyes, the pressure of disappointment trying to find a leak. The thing is, I wasn't surprised. Not really. The signs were there. I just didn't want to believe them. The way she scrolled through old photos sometimes, smiling at faces I didn't recognize. The way she lit up when talking about the traveling years before we met. The way she sometimes looked at me with something like appreciation, but never awe. You don't marry the backup plan. You don't build a life with someone just because the one you wanted moved to Portugal. And yet she did. And I was the fool who thought that meant I'd won. I stayed outside until the laughter inside dulled to murmurs, until the clinking glasses stopped, until I heard the front door close and the cars pull away one by one. She found me sitting there. Babe? She said, softly, her silhouette backlit by the warm yellow light from the kitchen. Why are you out here? It's freezing. I didn't answer. She stepped out onto the porch, wrapped in a throw blanket, holding a mug of tea. You okay? I heard you, I said. She blinked. What? I looked at her, really looked at her. At the woman I married. At the woman who'd just told her friends I was the second choice. The safe bet. The fallback plan. I was in the kitchen, I said. I heard everything. Her face froze. Lips parted. Mug lowering slightly in her hands. And there it was. That same silence from earlier. The one before the lie. I stood. She reached out. Jake, wait. I'm not mad, I said. Not yet. But I need to know one thing. She nodded slowly. If Andrew showed up tomorrow, I asked, voice steady. Would you leave? The wind picked up. Leaves rustled across the lawn. She didn't answer. And that, more than anything else, told me everything I needed to know. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was angry. I wasn't. Not in the way people expect. I wasn't punching walls or throwing things or drowning in whiskey while some sad song played in the background. I just lay there, eyes fixed on the ceiling, listening to the faint hum of the fan and the way she shifted on the other side of the bed. She tried to touch me once, lightly, her hand brushing against my arm, but I didn't move, didn't react. After a few minutes, she rolled over with a sigh. I stared at the ceiling like it had answers. I kept wondering, was I always a placeholder? Was every memory we made just filler between heartbreak and hope? Did the way I kissed her forehead in the morning mean less because someone else kissed her soul years ago? The next morning, she made pancakes. It sounds stupid, but that detail sticks. Dana never made breakfast. Ever. But that day she was in the kitchen before I woke up, spatula in hand, wearing the old hoodie I loved on her. The one that smelled like vanilla and rain and everything good I'd come to associate with home. I came down the stairs slowly. She looked up, hopeful. I made your favorite. I sat. I didn't eat. We sat in silence for maybe a full minute before she broke it. Jake, she began, voice small, about last night. Don't, I said too quickly. Please, don't make this into something it wasn't. She flinched. What does that mean? It means, I said, eyes on the untouched plate, that I heard you. I heard the truth, not the version you polish up for me. I heard the version you only share when you think I'm not listening. She dropped the spatula into the sink a little harder than necessary. I was drunk. No, I said calmly. You were honest. She looked at me then, and I saw it. Guilt and something like fear threading behind her eyes. She opened her mouth, closed it, then tried again. I didn't mean it like that. Andrew was a mistake. I thought I wanted him, but I don't anymore. Jake, I chose you. I married you. That means something. I tilted my head. Does it? Or did you just pick the one who wouldn't leave? The words tasted bitter, even as I said them. She came around the table, crouched down beside me, her hand reaching for mine. I was hurt. You know that. He crushed me. You were the one who helped me put the pieces back together. That counts for something, doesn't it? Pieces, I echoed. That's what I got. The broken parts. You gave the best of yourself to him and handed me what was left. She recoiled slightly, like I'd slapped her. And for a second, I hated myself for saying it. But it was true. The next few days were quiet. Too quiet. We moved around each other like strangers, carefully avoiding the minefield between us. She still tried, making small talk, asking if I wanted to watch a movie, brushing my arm as she passed, but I could feel the crack widening. You can't unhear something like that. But it wasn't until the following Saturday that things truly fell apart. We were at her parents' house for a barbecue. One of those forced family things we always pretended to enjoy. Her dad was manning the grill. Her mom talked about retirement. Dana smiled, laughed, touched my arm in front of them like everything was fine. But then Andrew showed up. No warning. No explanation. Just strolled in like he belonged. All confidence and tan skin and casual charm. Didn't expect to see you here, he said, grinning. Dana froze. Andrew, her mom gasped, clearly surprised. He gave her a hug. Just in town for the weekend. Thought I'd stop by. Dana didn't look at me. Not once. But I watched her. Watched the way her shoulders stiffened. The way her hand trembled as she held her glass. The way her laugh came a second too late when he made a joke. She introduced us. Jake, this is Andrew. Andrew, my husband. Andrew gave me a slow once-over. The infamous Jake. Heard a lot about you. I shook his hand. Firm. Cold. All good things, I hope. He smirked. Depends who's telling the story. Dana shot him a warning glance. He laughed it off. But something shifted. In me. In her. In the air between us. Like a window had been opened and all the heat rushed out. Later, I found her alone in the side yard, arms crossed, staring at nothing. I approached slowly. He's still got a hold on you, I said quietly. No, she said too fast. No, he doesn't. You didn't tell me he was coming. I didn't know, she insisted. I swear. He just showed up. I studied her. Did your heart skip when you saw him? She looked at the ground. That's not fair. It's honest, I said. She turned to me, her voice rising. Why are you doing this? Because I need to know, I said. Was I ever the first choice? Was I ever enough? She didn't answer. That silence, again, was louder than a confession. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. I had married a woman who was still in love with someone else. After that day in her parents' yard, something in me let go. Not out of rage, not even sadness, just a quiet, heavy resignation. Like when you're holding on to a rope during a storm and your arms give out, not because you want to fall, but because you've finally accepted the truth. The storm isn't passing, and the rope was never anchored to anything real in the first place. I stayed another 2 weeks. You'd think it was out of hope, but it wasn't. I just needed time to process, to plan, to accept. Dana tried, harder than ever. Morning coffee, forehead kisses, texts in the middle of the day saying, "Thinking about you." She offered therapy, said she'd block Andrew's number, asked if we could take a trip, just the two of us, start fresh. But she never once said the thing I needed to hear. She never said, "You were always the one." Because I wasn't. She just didn't want to lose me now. Not because she loved me, but because the comfort I gave her was suddenly at risk. I was security, stability, predictability, the soft place to land when all the dangerous men disappeared. And now that I was slipping away, she realized how cold the ground would feel without me. One night, I asked her plainly, "If he asked you to run away tomorrow, would you?" She looked at me, eyes rimmed with guilt, and whispered, "No." But the way she said it, that pause before the word, the way her voice caught, felt like a lie told out of kindness. And honestly, that hurt more. So the next morning, while she slept, I packed a single duffel bag. Just clothes. My passport. A folder with all the documents I'd quietly copied. Our joint bank statements. The prenup she insisted we didn't need, and later regretted signing. The deed to the house in my name. Everything. I'd already transferred my savings. Rented a small apartment 2 towns over. No grand revenge. No legal ambush. Just distance. I left her a note. Not poetic. Not dramatic. Just honest. "Dana, I heard you that night. I waited for a different truth. I waited for your heart to catch up to your words. But it didn't. I won't be anyone's backup plan. I love you. I probably always will. But I deserve to be chosen first. Take care of yourself. Jake." No accusations. No goodbye kiss. I left the note on the kitchen table, next to the half-used syrup bottle from our last pancake breakfast. I didn't block her. I didn't change my number. But I didn't answer when she called. Not the first time. Not the 12th. A week later, she texted me. I didn't mean it. I was drunk. I was stupid. "You're not a backup. You were the best thing I ever had." But I didn't reply, because that wasn't enough. I didn't want to be the best thing she had. I wanted to be the best thing she chose. And she didn't. Months passed. I got a place with tall windows and too much silence. I saw a therapist. I started running again. I joined a book club full of people who didn't know my story, and that felt strangely comforting. One night, I ran into Sierra, the same friend who laughed when Dana called me her backup. She looked surprised to see me, genuinely remorseful. "I didn't know you heard," she said. "I wasn't supposed to." She nodded. "Dana, she's not doing great." I didn't ask for details. I just said, "Neither was I." For a long time. There was a pause. "I always thought you were too good for her," Sierra whispered, maybe to herself. Funny. I used to think she was wrong. I still love Dana. That kind of love doesn't just vanish. It fades in pieces, like wallpaper peeling off a sunlit wall, slow and silent. But now, when I think of her, it's not with longing. It's with clarity. Sometimes, love isn't about saving someone else. Sometimes, it's about saving yourself from the role they've quietly cast you in. I wasn't the hero in Dana's story. I was the afterthought, the safe option, the fallback when the fireworks burned out. But in my story, I learned to walk away. Not because I stopped loving her, but because I finally started loving myself more.